Hello, everyone, and welcome to our August virtual workshop with Accenture and Back on My Feet. My name is Carolyn from the Accenture team. I am excited to share some tips and tricks with you all today on how to be digitally literate and also learn some other tips and guidelines of how to navigate the vast internet and how to be strategic. So, like I said, we'll focus on digital literacy and what it means to be digitally literate. I'll go through some tips of how to conduct strategic online searches. We'll go through checking the validity of emails and different internet sources, and then we'll give some general tips and tricks, do a little exercise to test your knowledge of what is a real email versus a fake email, and then give you all the opportunity to brainstorm some questions, which we will talk about during a call later next month, where we can collaborate and discuss any ideas or questions you may have about what we covered today. So, in the graphic on the right, digital literacy encompasses a lot of different ideas. So, mainly having an understanding and knowledge of how to safely use the internet, how to effectively communicate. And what we'll focus on a bit today is how you can strategically search the internet to find exactly what you're looking for, since it really is such a big thing. And if you do a simple Google search, you'll get millions of results. So we'll go through how you can pinpoint specifically what you need to narrow down those searches. So, like I said, we'll focus on digital literacy today. The key tagline for today's workshop is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So we'll show you how to conduct some strategic online searches, how you can assess the validity of online sources and emails, how you can filter out misinformation, and identify any scams within the internet or within an email. So we have a video, but unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, due to the screen recording, you won't be able to hear the video when I play it. So I will send the link for this video to Ramon, and he can show it to you all or post it to the YouTube channel so you can watch this for yourself. It's a great, quick 90-second video that goes over the main ideas of digital literacy, especially just from the beginner's level of if you don't have much knowledge of the topic to begin with. This gives a great overview and idea of kind of what digital literacy encompasses. So, general overview, what is digital literacy? So it's the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information, which requires both cognitive and technical skills. So this focuses mainly on using the internet effectively, how you can use what's available to you in the best way possible to meet your needs, and doing so in a safe and effective manner. So being digitally literate is having a good understanding of how to use the internet, how to use browsers and search engines such as Google, how to use email, whether that be Gmail or Outlook or Yahoo, whatever email you have, how to use that effectively, and how to draft appropriate emails, and how to understand emails that you receive, whether they're fake or real. Being digitally literate is also being able to evaluate online resources for accuracy and trustworthiness. So looking at job searches or job postings, seeing if this information is real or fake. And then being digitally literate is also enhancing your knowledge about the internet. So that may be studying different resources or taking online classes just to enhance your knowledge of how to use the internet and different technologies. So being digitally literate is not learning how to use only multimedia to research and investigate a specific topic. you're not digitally literate. If you simply just own a computer, to be digitally literate would be to understand how to use that computer and how to use it effectively, how to use the different components and websites and different tools and applications effectively. And finally, digital literacy is not using online media without any knowledge or guidelines on how to judge whether that info is accurate or correct. So just because you're doing a Google search doesn't mean that you have the full digital literacy knowledge that you need. It's useful to have some background knowledge of how you can be effective and safe when conducting Google searches or online searches. So here's some quick tips on how to be strategic with your online searches. So there are websites that, in addition to Google, which we all know and love, that will provide information. So specifically, instead of just searching on Google for job postings, you can look at Indeed or LinkedIn, which require that you create an account, but you guarantee that these websites are trustworthy and that all job postings are accurate and correct, as opposed to just searching for Google for open jobs, and that may bring you to an unknown website. If you're looking for specific information about a particular topic, Google is good, but Google Scholar is great because it allows you to read and look into published articles about specific topics. So it's very valid, and it's been cross-checked and published, so you know that the information is correct. When you are doing searches, if you are within Google, it's great to be able to narrow down that search by using quotation marks. So when you're searching, you can put quotation in around a word, and that search result will then generate results only with that word in it. And then also narrowing down your search. So if you're looking for a construction job within Philly, saying Philadelphia construction jobs would be better than saying what Philadelphia construction companies are currently hiring. The shorter the search term is, the better. When there are a lot of words, like in this question, it tends to generate less specific results. So being able to narrow it down like that is a lot better. And then finally, we'll go into this a little bit later, but checking the validity of information, so differentiating between what's valid and what's not, and understanding trusted sources. So you definitely get better at this with practice, but it's definitely important within emails, being able to differentiate what's real and fake. Definitely important to be able to understand that when receiving emails. And then lastly, you are able to filter searches in Google. So I took a little screenshot here, but once you do a Google search, so if you say data privacy, and within the tools button over here, you can filter to designate the time. So if you say only show me results within the past week, that may be better for job searches than having results be shown from any time, because you want the most relevant and up-to-date results. To look at the validity of emails, some main points to look for when understanding if the email is legitimate or not. You'll want to notice the domain. So that's what we call the sender address. So if you have a Gmail account, it'll be at gmail.com. If you have a Yahoo account, it's at yahoo.com. If it's a specific company, usually companies have their own domain. So for example, at Accenture, ours is at accenture.com. Having these be recognizable is important, especially when you're receiving emails specifically for a job posting. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. So it's important to see who is actually sending that email. You want to make sure that the email you're receiving is applicable to you and it's in reference to something you inquired about. If it is super random, it might be spam. If it's asking you to fill in or send back specific information, that's probably a scam. And like we said earlier, if it's seems too good to be true, it probably is. Definitely important that the sender addresses you by name in the email. So if they just say hello or don't address you at all, you might be a little suspicious. Definitely better if they do say hello, Carolyn. But that also means if they just say hello, that doesn't mean it's automatically a scam email. Just something else to keep your eye out for. You can also do a search for the sender on LinkedIn if it is for a job posting, just to cross-reference their name and their email so you can guarantee that it is a legitimate person sending you the email. Some things to keep out for in a potential scam email would be multiple grammar and spelling mistakes. A professional would not be having grammar and spelling mistakes in an email to you. So if an email has mistakes in it, good chance that it is a scam. If there are any strange or unfamiliar URL links, something to avoid, certainly do not click on those links. That may be a scam as well. If the subject line is not consistent with the content of the email, that can be a little fishy, or if the subject line isn't detailed at all, then that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. If you don't recognize the email address, so if it's not from a Gmail or a Yahoo or a company you recognize, then that may be from a scam address. If it has unfamiliar attachments, so if they're attach something and ask that you download it, that's definitely a sign of a scam or phishing email. You never want to download any unknown files to your computer because that could be lead to a security breach and other problems for your computer. And then finally, if the email contains any suspicious requests, so again, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If they're having you fill in personal information, or say, if you click this link, you'll win this or be compensated, probably not true at all unless you recognize who is sending the email and you were already in communication with them. So from that, we'll go through a little demonstration practice of seeing if an email is real or fake. So here we have an example of an email. And what do you guys think? Is it real or fake? You want to look at the sender. So do you recognize this address? It says it's from Wells Fargo Online, but I don't see any Wells Fargo image or emblem. It's a pretty well-known bank, so you'd think there may be a photo of their logo. Let's see. So it's asking you to verify your account. So maybe it's real, but I think and we have some grammar issues down here. I think that the big tell-all here is that this email address doesn't seem to be correct. I don't recognize this t-online.de. It seems a bit funky. If it was from wellsfargo.com, maybe, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably a scam because they're asking you to verify your account and provide some additional information. You always want to be wary of emails from a bank or anything relating to money, especially if they're asking you to put in your information. This very well could be a scam. They're having you fill in your Wells Fargo bank account information and then subsequently steal that information or your money. So I think this is probably a fake. Okay, real or fake? Let's see. So it's from Mark Ruthfield from Yesware. So that looks like a legitimate domain because he's saying this is his company. They are connecting to people. The subject seems legitimate, asking for a favor, addressing by name. and there doesn't seem to be any weird links or any misspellings. So I think that this one is probably real. They have a good email structure of introducing the purpose of the email and their ask. So they're asking for a quick favor and sign it accordingly. So definitely a real one. Okay, finally. So it looks like this is from globalpay.com with an attachment. So remember what I said about attachments. You always want to be hesitant with them. Keep your eye out for what they're having you download. So they want you to restore your account. Dear customer, so we regret to inform you that your account has been restricted. Please download the file and update your login. So since it's relating to payments and they want you to download this, but you're not sure what it is, and provide your information, I would say this is probably a scam, especially, like I said before, anytime it has anything to do with money and providing your information, you want to be a bit hesitant. Also notice that the subject line is not, it should be capitalized. It's some email etiquette of having the first letter of each word capitalized for subject. Also, it was sent in the middle of the night, so that's a little bit concerning. So go ahead and say this one's a fake. So hopefully that gave you guys a good idea of how you can understand the validity of emails. Finally, we'll just go through validity of online sources. So looking for making sure websites are established and they have some backup from a government agency or nonprofit organization, foundation, or college. So that means they're established and well built. So avoid sites that are particularly biased. You want to check for the date of the article or the information that you're reading. So back to the idea of being able to filter information on Google to the most recent. If an article you're reading is 10 years old, then the information is probably not very relevant anymore. And also want to check the author and credentials. So you can, again, look up who it is, see what else they've published, and make sure that it's a well-credited author and article. So some illegitimate online sources would be if it has kind of an unknown name, if it's not recognizable, never heard of it before, never seen anything from them, unlike an established site like Google or LinkedIn or Indeed. If the website has content that's a bit older, you might want to find a new site or new information. Like I said, the older, out-of-date information is just not relevant anymore. If an article is written anonymously, that may be a bit cause for concern, just of not sure who wrote it, if it's valid, if they have the credentials to be providing that information. And finally, if the website just doesn't look great, if it's poorly designed or just not really user-friendly, if there are spelling mistakes, it's probably not a good page to be getting information from. So I know this isn't our traditional workshop where we can't ask questions in real time, but hopefully you all learned something from this overview of digital literacy. Looking forward to hearing about your questions later and discussing them during a call that we can all have later in the month. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.